state battle over relaxing COVID-19 restrictions, why several city and county leaders are ignoring Governor Ducey's executive order to prohibit government mask mandates.
Plus, voter suppression or election integrity, the debate over several bills moving through the Arizona legislature that could change how Arizonans cast their ballots.
And later this half hour on Break It Down, how people are using social media to become fake famous.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm SEDONA Meadows.
And I'm Ivory Ward. Thank you for joining us.
Tonight we have full team coverage with the latest on COVID-19 cases here in Arizona. Alexis Young is standing by with the latest coronavirus data.
And Tina Giuliano has been looking into the political divide over ending mask mandates in Arizona.
It would be a major achievement in the fight against COVID-19. According to the White House, nearly half of all adults in the U.S. are expected to have had their first shot by the end of this weekend. The CDC says nearly 42% of American adults have had at least one dose of the vaccine.
And researchers believe that will lead to about 20,000 fewer coronavirus deaths by May 1st. But even as progress continues to be made during the pandemic, Tina reports many Arizonans have mixed feelings about when to relax restrictions.
Phoenix has now joined Tucson, Flagstaff, and Pima County in continuing their mask mandate, defying Governor Ducey's executive order. I spoke with the mayor of Scottsdale today, who said he'll keep the mask mandate until further notice.
As mayor, my proclamation still stands.
Scottsdale Mayor David Ortega issued a proclamation restoring the mask order at the beginning of his term.
I can't wait for the day when I can call all clear. And we look forward to that. I think that that day is not today.
Ortega says the bottom line is safety and masks plus vaccination creates a healthy and safe city.
As mayor, I believe that safety of our residents, visitors, and businesses are all intertwined with defeating the virus and doing whatever we can to keep our residents safe.
Mayor Kate Gallego also took a stance announcing yesterday that the city of Phoenix's mask mandate will remain in effect regardless of Ducey's, quote, unilateral decision to end it. In a statement, she went on to say protecting public health must come first. Masks are the best and fastest way to fully reopen and recover. Gallego's comments came on the same day that Attorney General Mark Brnovich's office announced Pima County can uphold and enforce its mask mandate despite the governor's order. In an interview with KTAR this morning, Governor Ducey said the city and county leaders who are ignoring his executive order were grandstanding. But he did encourage people to respect businesses who are still requiring face coverings.
I mean, we're such a small establishment here. It's very compacted, as you can see.
Sosoba, a restaurant tucked in the corner of downtown Phoenix, is one of those businesses.
And we take it very seriously. Like when people walk through the door, if they're not wearing a mask, like we ask them to put a mask on.
She went on to say she sees hundreds of people per day with and without masks.
People will get mad and we have to have them go down the street to buy like a mask or something. And, you know, some people will just leave and just not come back.
When asked about what he thought about the Attorney General allowing local leaders to keep their mask mandates, Governor Ducey told KTAR that he would not participate in political grandstanding. Rather, we should just do the right thing. In Phoenix, Tina Giuliano, Cronkite News.
The ASU Biodesign Institute gave its weekly briefing today with some positive information about immunity levels. Alexis Young listened in.
By the end of April, ASU biodesign professor Dr. Joshua LeBaire says approximately half of Arizona's population will be immune to COVID-19. Projections also show that by May 1st, over 1,000 lives will have been saved. But as access to the vaccine makes its way through adult demographics, a so far unlikely fourth wave could seriously impact younger people.
So one expectation might be that as we do a better job of vaccinating seniors and older people, the hospitalizations would shift more to younger people, middle-aged people, young adults, and even potentially younger. And so we'd have to watch for that. We might not see as many of those hospitalizations because that population is not as high a risk for hospitalization, but in other countries, they have seen it. They have seen rising hospitalizations in the younger population. So that might be something we'd watch out for.
Dr. LeBaire went on to say data shows more young people are getting vaccinated now that the state has opened up that option. In the broadcast center, Alexis Young, Cronkite News.
Our other big story today, Democratic lawmakers here in Arizona are putting pressure on Governor Doug Ducey to oppose Jim Crow type suppression laws. But the bill sponsor says he wants to restore faith in our election integrity. Reporter Julia SANDOR went to the state capitol to see both sides of this issue.
Several groups in Arizona came together in support of the For the People Act, or S1, that's being put forth in our nation's capital. They're participating in a nationwide democracy week, and the question being asked here in Phoenix is whether these bills are about voter suppression or election integrity.
So, what we're seeing here today is a coalition of groups from all across the state who have one simple message, and that's to tell the Arizona Republican legislature to stop coming after our voting rights.
The Declaration for American Democracy organized a coast-to-coast democracy week, April 5th through April 9th. The groups who hosted the event at the Capitol are specifically calling on the lawmakers and Governor Doug Ducey to oppose and veto any and all voter suppression laws.
The reality is in 2020, Governor Ducey had the courage to say that our mail-in system worked. He had the courage to say that our elections are free, safe, and secure, and he needs to show that same courage to the Republicans in the legislature this year.
But the Republican sponsor of two of those bills, Senator J.D. Mesnard, says he wants to restore confidence in our election system.
So whether one agrees with their concerns or not, what is undeniable is that a lot of people have lost faith. And I don't believe we can dismiss them. What we need to do is put in place reasonable guardrails that still make us far more flexible, far more generous than almost every other state in the country, because I think that will go a long way to to shoring up their faith in the system.
Some bills that Bolding says are concerning are SB 1713, which requires voter ID for vote by mail, and SB 1106, which is about voter residency.
It's the same arguments we continue to hear, that any attempt to put up guardrails to ensure election integrity is spun as voter suppression. Even though when you look at the actual policy of what's in the bill, and I never hear them talk about any specifics at all, I think they make sense to a lot of people, and it's not anything unreasonable.
The U.S. Congress is also taking up the issue of election security and preventing voter suppression. That bill was created to expand access to ballot boxes, reduce big money influences in politics, strengthen ethics rules for government officials, and implement anti-corruption measures. Today's event here in Phoenix was held during congressional recess, so the organizations are hoping to continue to get support from our representatives in Washington while they're here in the state. In the studio, Julia SANDOR, Cronkite News.
Taking a look outside now from our downtown studio, it looks like Phoenix won't be getting a break from the 90s anytime soon. As temperatures are above normal for the time of the year, Faith ABERCROMBIE is here with what we can expect for the rest of the week.
As we continue on with spring and quickly approach summer, these temperatures are starting to rise across the region. Now looking over at the West Coast at Bakersfield, about 82 degrees as their high today, 68 in Los Angeles, so a lot cooler there. But looking over at New Mexico with about 71 degrees in Albuquerque, 82 down in Texas. But taking a look at our high temperatures tomorrow for Arizona, pretty warm as well, about 97 degrees in Yuma, 91 down in Tucson, and 93 here in Phoenix as our high temperature tomorrow. Now looking ahead to tonight, around 6 p.m. it'll still be pretty warm with 89 degrees, a little bit of winds, a little breezy, but as we go later into the night, those winds should start to calm down. Now tomorrow it's going to be pretty warm with about 93 degrees, 94 on Friday, a little bit of clouds, but as we go into the rest of this 8-day forecast, about 90-degree temperatures across the board with a little bit of clouds on Sunday and Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. For Cronkite Weather, I'm Faith ABERCROMBIE.
And speaking of weather, it's raining in Washington, raining cherry blossom petals, that is. The blossoming cherry trees are a sure sign of spring in the nation's capital that can't be stopped by a mere pandemic, as Molly Hudson reports from our Washington bureau.
Every year for a decade, CJ Greenhill Caldera has come to the tidal basin to paint Washington's famous cherry blossoms, a streak that was broken last year by the COVID pandemic.
My family moved down here from New York in 2007, and every year since I had been painting the beautiful blooms and the view like we're seeing today. Unfortunately, due to our global pandemic, I haven't painted on site since 2019.
Any other year, the festival would include a parade down Constitution Avenue, events on the streets, and even a kite festival on the National Mall.
1.5 million people coming to the city to enjoy the festival, 4 weeks of festivities, as well as, of course, the blossoms themselves at the tidal basin. That is a normal year.
Those crowds aren't coming to Washington this year, says Diana Mayhew, the president of the National Cherry Blossom Festival. Instead, the festival is going to them, virtually. Now you can see the 3,700 cherry trees from the comfort of your couch, fly a kite in your backyard, and follow Friday's celebration show through the streets of D.C.
It shows what the city looks like, what it was, what the celebration, all of the beautiful art sculptures, performances.
But a virtual celebration doesn't mean that parts of Washington aren't decked out for the annual celebration, Mayhew says.
So the city continues to be in bloom with pink, iconic buildings lit up in lights, pink lights, as well as blossom decor all over the city. Porches, we have hundreds of people registered to decorating their porches.
Still, there's something to be said for seeing the blossoms in person, says Greenhill Caldera, who made a special effort to come by on a weekday afternoon.
And it's still very magical after peak bloom, how the petals rain down as kind of this pink snow. So we're looking on the bright side and enjoying this new twist on cherry blossom season.
While you can still stroll by the trees in person, the virtual festival continues through Sunday, and Mayhew hopes that by next year, people will be able to enjoy the blossoms virtually and in person. In Washington, Molly Hudson, Cronkite News.
Hi, I'm Gareth KWOK. After the break, your Cronkite Sports Report. The Masters return this weekend, and we have a great golf story for you when we come back, so don't go away.
Ready to watch the best of PBS anytime, anywhere, on nearly any device? It's easy with the free PBS Video app. Simply download the PBS Video app on your mobile or streaming device. Now you can watch the latest PBS episodes or catch up on the shows you missed. Discover new favorites from PBS and local content from your PBS station.
Here we go, lights up. Whoa.
As artists, we conduct our educations in public. You can never know whether it's going to be a success. One just has to risk it.
It's you and the work and the place. It's a very particular relationship.
Here's our lens. Tell us what you think.
Friday night at 9 on Arizona PBS.
I think he was a terrific father sometimes. I think that he was a loving husband sometimes. I think he was like so many people, except this enormous talent. Hemingway is very complicated. I hate the myth of Hemingway. It obscures the man, and the man is much more interesting than the myth.
Coming in April to Arizona PBS.
Welcome back. I'm Gareth KWOK with your Cronkite Sports Report. The big headline for today, University of Arizona men's basketball head coach Sean Miller has been fired. Miller and the program were the subject of an NCAA investigation around corruption in recruiting, and the school placed a self-imposed postseason ban on the team this season.
A change was needed to achieve our objectives as a program, and he agreed. I met with Sean this morning in person to inform him of my decision. Following that, I met with the coaching staff and our student athletes. I want to thank Sean and his family sincerely.
Miller had just finished his 12th season with the school, leading the Wildcats to 3 Elite 8 appearances and 302 wins overall. The Diamondbacks won in dramatic fashion last night at Coors Field in the 13th inning, giving up leads but retaking them, making mistakes but overcoming them. Manager Torey Lovello praised his team for coming together and battling through adversity.
It was such an incredible team effort. Guys were laying down for one another, sacrificing their at-bats, taking team at-bats, consistently staying engaged, and anything they could possibly do to help us win a baseball game. And when our backs were squarely up against the wall, we executed at a high level, made pitches and made plays.
It's Masters weekend at Augusta, and the tournament features Sun Devil alums Paul Casey, Phil Mickelson, and John Rahm, among others. Those golfers and more have inspired the younger generation every day. And Cronkite News reporter Zach Moore met up with Valley area golfers that are leading the charge and changing how the game looks.
There are several student athletes here in the Valley breaking the barriers of long-held stereotypes within the sport of golf. For them, it's about the love of the game and about building that community of inclusivity.
And I think that's how we're going to get parents to start teaching our kids and telling them about the game of golf and telling them that, you can play this sport too. It's not just these people can play it. You can play it too if you want to. So I think that's really important.
You can meet so many people on the golf course, make so many connections. I think golf is more than what people make it in society today.
According to golf.com, only 5% of the sport of golf is comprised of African Americans. LPGA athletes like Maria Stackhouse and Cheyenne Woods continue to set an example for what the next generation hopes to accomplish moving forward.
It's exactly what we're doing right now that I think is going to increase diversity in the game of golf. And I really think that's a really cool thing that can happen.
Xavier Prep's sister Lynn Windsor has been in the Valley for nearly 50 years. As the athletic director for the all-girls school, she is most interested in making sure her athletes develop a strong character.
It doesn't matter who you are when you play golf. If you want to go out, you want to play well, you want to learn, you want to be a good teammate, sportsmanship, get self-confidence, integrity, that's what it's all about.
As the landscape in golf continues to change, these local athletes are hoping to lead the way and inspire others to join the push for diversity in the sport. In Chandler, Zach Moore, Cronkite News.
That does it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Sedona and Ivory.
Thanks, Gareth. That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.